and we're talking about billions of dollars that we've already found. We found fraud and abuse. I would say those two words as opposed to the third word that I usually use, but in this case, fraud and abuse. It's abusive because most of these things are virtually made up, or certainly money shouldn't be sent to them. And you know what I'm talking about.
Elon Musk has never been one to back down from controversy, and his latest target is perhaps the most secure facility in the U.S., Fort Knox. Known for his bold business ventures, ambitious technological pursuits, and unfiltered online presence, the billionaire has now turned his attention to America's gold reserves, questioning whether they are truly still intact. In a series of posts on X, Musk implied that a live video walkthrough of Fort Knox would be, quote, cool, sparking renewed speculation about the contents of the heavily guarded vault. The history of Fort Knox and its gold reserves. Fort Knox has long been synonymous with wealth, security, and secrecy. Built in 1936 in Kentucky, the facility was designed to store and protect America's gold reserves following the economic devastation of the Great Depression. At its peak, Fort Knox held over 649 million ounces of gold, making it the largest gold repository in the world. However, those reserves have gradually decreased, with the current stock sitting at just over 147 million troy ounces. The facility's reputation as an impenetrable fortress is not just symbolic, it's one of the most heavily guarded locations on the planet. The depository is surrounded by high-security fences, protected by heavily armed military personnel, and features walls made of reinforced concrete that are reportedly 2 feet thick. The gold vault itself is said to be secured by a 22-ton blast-proof door, which can only be opened by multiple staff members, each knowing only part of the code. Beyond gold, Fort Knox has housed some of America's most treasured documents. During World War II, the facility provided temporary shelter for the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and even the original Magna Carta. These measures further solidified Fort Knox's reputation as an impenetrable safe haven. But with that reputation came an aura of mystery, one that's only grown stronger with time.
Apparently, there is gold there, or at least there's supposed to be gold there. How much gold? This is where it gets tricky. Because no one quite knows. The last time that there was an audit of the gold was before you were alive or I was alive back in the early 70s.
The idea that the gold in Fort Knox may be missing or tampered with is not new. For decades, conspiracy theorists have speculated that the government has secretly removed the gold or replaced it with counterfeit bars. These concerns have only been amplified by the fact that the last comprehensive audit took place over 50 years ago in 1974. Since then, only a handful of officials have been allowed to enter the vault, with no independent verification available to the public. Musk entered the conversation after responding to an X post suggesting he should personally ensure the gold is still there. His initial reaction, quote, surely it's reviewed at least every year, was met with confirmation from Senator Rand Paul that no such regular audit takes place. Senator Mike Lee echoed similar frustrations, revealing that his multiple attempts to access Fort Knox had been denied outright. This led Musk to ask, who is confirming that gold wasn't stolen? A question that quickly gained traction online. He went further, proposing an unconventional solution, a live-streamed walkthrough of Fort Knox, allowing the public to see for themselves whether the gold was still there. Quote, it would be cool to do a live video walkthrough of Fort Knox, he wrote. While the idea was met with enthusiasm by some, others pointed out that such a move would compromise national security, potentially revealing classified details about the facility's defenses. Political responses and growing public interest.
So breaking news, Elon Musk just this afternoon tweeted out, posted out on X, surely the gold in Fort Knox is audited every year. I would reckon to think Elon already knows the answer. Gold has not been audited. The U.S. gold has not been audited since 1974. That's right. 50 years.
Musk's remarks have ignited a firestorm of debate, sharply dividing public opinion and forcing a long-dormant issue back into the political arena. On one side, a growing number of lawmakers, including Senators Rand Paul and Mike Lee, have echoed Musk's calls for an independent audit of Fort Knox. Paul has been advocating for increased transparency around the nation's gold reserves for over a decade, and he's expressed frustration with the federal government's unwillingness to allow external verification. Quote, I think some of them may not think it needs to be audited all the time, But I think the more sunlight, the better. More transparency, the better, Paul stated in a Fox News interview. Paul's frustrations stem from years of unanswered questions and unfilled requests for access to Fort Knox. He's repeatedly sought permission to verify the reserves himself, only to be met with bureaucratic roadblocks. His latest attempt in 2017 coincided with a rare visit to the facility by then Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and Senator Mitch McConnell, both of whom later claimed the gold was accounted for. However, Paul was unable to join them on the trip, fueling suspicions that the inspection had been carefully curated rather than a genuine audit. Mike Lee, another senator who found himself at odds with the government over the issue, has also been vocal about his frustrations. He has disclosed that his repeated attempts to visit Fort Knox have been met with vague denials, reinforcing suspicions that there's something to hide. In one particularly telling statement, Lee shared a conversation he had with officials at Fort Knox. Quote, "As a U.S. Senator, I've tried repeatedly to get into Fort Knox. Fort Knox says you can't come to Fort Knox. Me, why? Fort Knox, it's a military installation. Me, I'm a senator. I go to military bases all the time. Fort Knox, you still can't come because you can't." His account of these interactions has only added fuel to the fire, leaving many wondering why access to the facility remains so tightly controlled, even for high-ranking government officials. On the other side of the debate, government officials have largely dismissed Musk's remarks, with some suggesting his comments are merely an attempt to stir controversy for personal or political gain. Treasury officials maintain that the gold reserves are intact and secure, arguing that Fort Knox operates under the highest level of security and oversight, but they've refused to provide updated evidence to support these claims. This unwillingness to engage in a transparent review has only deepened public skepticism. Many believe that if the government has nothing to hide, it should welcome an independent audit to put the matter to rest once and for all. Instead, officials continue to cite national security concerns as a reason for maintaining secrecy around the vault's contents. While it's true Fort Knox serves as a key military installation, critics argue there's no legitimate reason why an independent audit could not be conducted under strict security protocols. As a result, the debate has taken on a life of its own, extending beyond Musk's initial remarks and evolving into a broader conversation about government transparency, financial stability, and public trust. Economic and financial implications.
Elon Musk is giving our entire country an inside look at the actual fraud, waste, abuse that's been going on for decades. And Americans are cheering and cheering and cheering. You know, everyone did vote for this. This is exactly what we voted for. This is what we campaigned for, and this is what President Trump promised to the American people. Beyond the immediate controversy, Musk's comments have reignited discussions about the role of gold in the modern economy, sparking renewed interest in the metal's significance within global financial systems. While the U.S. dollar has not been explicitly backed by gold since President Nixon ended the gold standard in 1971, many economists argue that gold still continues to play a crucial role in stabilizing the country's financial position. The very fact that Fort Knox still holds a significant portion of the nation's gold reserves suggests that the U.S. government sees ongoing value in maintaining these holdings, even if they are not actively used as a backing for currency. The United States officially holds over 8,100 tons of gold, making it the largest reserve in the world. But the way this gold is valued remains a subject of intense debate. The U.S. Treasury continues to price its reserves at just $42 per ounce, a figure set in 1972 that's never been adjusted to reflect market changes. In today's economic climate, where gold trades at well over $2,900 per ounce, the true value of the reserves would be closer to $760 billion. This outdated valuation has led to speculation about whether the government is intentionally undervaluing its gold to avoid revealing its true financial standing. The future of Fort Knox is mystery. As discussions surrounding Fort Knox continue to gain momentum, it's unclear what the next steps will be. Musk's call for a live-streamed audit may never come to fruition, but the pressure for increased transparency is reaching new heights. More lawmakers and financial analysts are beginning to question why the government remains so resistant to a full independent audit, and these calls are only expected to grow louder in the coming months. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Elon Musk is onto something, or is this just another one of his conspiracy theories? Let us know in the comments section below.